Hello there and welcome to this random video I've decided to record because I just felt like doing it while I'm bored out of my mind. And I've just been doing some fantasy football research. What you've been looking at certain players and kind of looking at transfers ahead. Yeah, that's pretty much it. You've nailed it. So basically this is... I am 95% certain this is my team for game week 1. So Johnson in goal, Chilwell, Shaw, Gabriel, Fernandes, Saka, Eze, Martinelli, Rashford, Pedro, Haaland. Hold on a minute, Steve-o, but you were banging on about Watkins. Yes, but the transfer thought process is quite simply this. For game week 2, it's Pedro to Watkins. That's all it's going to be. Last night, during the stream, and a bit this morning, I was playing around with Salah, because he was in my room. I was just playing around with him. And I thought, is my FOMO that bad that I need to get him in and destroy a perfectly good jacket, a perfectly good team? The answer is no. You can't cover Salah with either Diaz, Jota, Núñez, Gakpo. We know that. We know that Salah is the full match. Unless they're winning 4 or 5-0, he may be taken off in the 95th minute. But he's going to play the full match. I would argue that Gakpo is the next on the list. He's going to play roughly, if he starts, 80 plus minutes, if not the full match. But then those other 3, it's very, very difficult to, for obvious reasons, work out which one to have. However, Nuka Adams came up with a tweet earlier regarding Jota, and he feels that Jota could be the one to go for. Now, we know what Jota can bring for us fantasy managers. He can do the old double-digit haul. He can outscore the rest of the Liverpool attackers. We know this, and he can do that in 30 minutes. The downside to him, of course, is does he start or not? That's the problem with Jota. Diaz is a Klopp favourite and can be an individual who actually can Klopp play Salah, Jota, Diaz and Gakpo just behind them. Yeah, didn't he do that in the friendly yesterday? And to go into game week 2 without Liverpool it's a horrible feeling, but I'll be honest with you, I couldn't care less if I have to take a -4 to do Martinelli out, because Crystal Palace away from home is a horrible fixture. It's a disgusting fixture. I don't want to go anywhere near it with Arsenal players. And I think that game will be tight. I think it's got 1-1 or Arsenal nicking it, just 1-0, 2-1. But point being is that there's not going to be many goals in that game. And from my remembrance from last season, my basic remembrance, Martinelli away from home wasn't that great. So I'm just looking at the scores here of recent times, and away from home at Selhurst Park, 3-1 Arsenal, 3-0 Crystal Palace, 2-0 Arsenal. If you're doing a general prediction for this game, you know, when I'm doing the predictions, it will be, well, there's been 3 clean sheets in the last 6. Completely sporadic. Arsenal 0, Crystal Palace 0, Crystal Palace 3, Arsenal 0, Crystal Palace 0, Arsenal 2. So you don't know what you're going to get. You've then got, on 3 occasions, a team has scored 3 or more goals. So actually, based on the history, looking at this here, the history would be suggesting 3 or more goals in this game and a high chance of a clean sheet to somebody, but probably in Arsenal's favour. And it does appear that Arsenal do like to play Crystal Palace, despite what I've just said. But, as I keep banging on about, I pride myself on my predictions, and when you're looking at basic odds and probabilities and all that nonsense, you're going to be favouring Arsenal for the win. You're certainly not going to be favouring Crystal Palace to win this game. I mean, Crystal Palace here have won 1 game out of the last 6, once. And that was 3-0 back in April the 4th, 2022. So last year, April. The individuals that did something that game was Mateta, Zaha and Ayew, as they didn't even get on the pitch. The team Arsenal were playing, look at the state of this. Ramsdale in goal, Tavares, Gabriel, White, Cedric, Xhaka, Partey, Saka, Odegaard, Smith Rowe, Lacazette. Substitutions, Lokonga, Martinelli and Nketiah. So Crystal Palace's full-strength team versus a mismatch of complete nobodies within the Arsenal ranks. Tavares. Who? Cedric. Who? Smith Rowe. Who? Lacazette. Finish the line, Bard. So, there, who's going to be playing for Arsenal this time around? Well, Ramsdale, Gabriel, probably Ben White, probably Partey, Saka and Odegaard. Now, they're going to have Martinelli on the left, Havertz / Trossard / Nketiah up front. Probably Havertz, the way it's going. They're going to have Declan Rice instead of Xhaka. On the left-hand side, instead of Tavares, they're going to have Timber! And then it'll be Ben White on the right, and then Saliba in the middle with Gabriel. Huge difference. Hence why I think this game, like I said, is going to be probably a 2-1 to Arsenal. But it's a Monday night fixture. Keyword being Monday night. It's going to be a brilliant atmosphere. And from my personal point of view, I just don't think Martinelli gets anything. Whereas Jota versus I wouldn't go as far as to say an abysmal Bournemouth team, but certainly a team in which I would expect Liverpool to score a minimum. I know for a fact that the history is suggesting basically 4-0 to Liverpool. Just some basic history here. If I bring it up right now. So Liverpool playing Bournemouth, it's a guaranteed clean sheet to somebody, but in favour of Liverpool. So 5 times out of the last 6 that Liverpool have played Bournemouth, there's been a clean sheet. One of them being for Bournemouth in a 1-0 win. Only once has a team, both teams scored, and that was at Anfield back in 2020 on the 7th of March. If we go back to that 9-0 victory, that complete, it was just an absolute, it will never ever happen again. But on that day, Diaz got 2 goals. Firmino got 2 goals, 3 assists. Salah did nothing. It was the famous one, wasn't it? And then various other players chipped in. Jota was not to be seen that day. Now, could Klopp go, well, the last time he played Bournemouth, Diaz did very well, so maybe he's the guy to bring in instead of Jota. But Jota pre-season has been doing very well. Diaz has been doing very, very well. So looking at all this basic probability maths that I'm looking at here, Diaz is probably the one that I'm probably going to get instead of Martinelli. But what about Watkins and Pedro? Now, this is the -4 that I'm considering. There's already somebody in the comments saying, you can't do a -4, you're not allowed to. But my answer to that is, shut the fuck up and just concentrate on your own team. Don't worry about my team. I'm your rival at the end of the day. You want to beat me. If it was just me versus you, like Jason's attitude is towards me, take the -4. That means I'm going to be 2 points up. But who are the players that you're bringing in? And that's the attitude that you should be given, which is brilliant, Steve-O. Do it. Do that -4. Get rid of Pedro. He's got Wolves away, and you've already stated that the history is suggesting a high-scoring... Brilliant. That message is just completely decided. Oh, yeah, the history is suggesting Brighton to score a minimum of 3 goals against Wolves. Yes. Aston Villa are a completely different team this season, and they will be. Up against a pathetic Everton team, who I genuinely see Aston Villa scoring a minimum of 2 or 3 goals. The history is suggesting a minimum of 2 goals for Aston Villa. And a clean sheet. So in this fixture, across the last 6, Aston Villa have conceded 2 goals, both in 2-1 victories. The other games, 0-0, these are all wins, 0-0, 3-0, 1-0, 2-0. So looking at that there, you're looking at a 2-0 victory to Aston Villa. Now, what is the likelihood of Ollie Watkins getting a minimum of 1 return /2 versus Pedro, who I believe against a Wolves team who, let's get real here, are pretty good at home, where I see that game being very, very tight against Wolves. 1-1, 1-0 Brighton, maybe even 1-0 Wolves, maybe 2-0 at a push. The last time these two met at Villa Park, Watkins scored a penalty. That was at Villa Park. In the Everton versus Aston Villa game, as in at Everton, guess what? Oh, I've looked at the wrong bloody fixture, you idiot. That was the penalty that Ollie Watkins scored in the 2-1 victory for Aston Villa. That was back on the 13th of August 2020. Bloody hell, a year ago. Ollie Watkins got 2 assists. So Ollie Watkins has got decent history versus Everton. And Everton, I'm telling this for free, I can see there's people jumping on the Everton defensive train there of Pickford in goal. I don't have a problem with Pickford in goal. In fact, I think that's a pretty solid choice. But Everton are absolutely useless. And based on the correspondence week, here in the Everton correspondent, he is not hopeful of anything from Everton at all. You sound pretty downbeat, to be honest with you. So, in the words of Dredd, I've got to work out whether the -4 is worth doing Martinelli up against a Crystal Palace team who will be up for it, and a Wolves team who at home are pretty solid, versus a relegation threatened team in Everton, or more to the point, a relegation candidate in Everton against Aston Villa at home, who are very, very good at home. And Diaz/Jota, but mainly in the favour of Diaz because of the history. What do I see it as? Well, if I'm genuinely being serious, well, I say serious, if I'm genuinely being realistic regarding all this, I would say Pedro 2 points, Martinelli, let's just say, an assist. So that's what? 5 points and 2 points, that's 7. Then you do the -4, 7, 8, 9, that's 11 points. Bring in Watkins, who I'm predicting to get a double digit versus Everton. That's 4, let's just say a goal and assist. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's 9 points already. So I'm now minus what? 3? -2? Whatever it is. Then you throw on top of Diaz, who again I'd expect to get a double digit versus Bournemouth. Let's just say again a goal and assist. So that's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And that's forgetting the bonus points involved. Now I haven't written this down, so I'm going to have to do that right now. So Martinelli, 5 points. Pedro 2, 4, that's 11. Versus Watkins, goal and assist, that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 points. Diaz, goal and assist, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's a total of 19 points minus 11. That's a plus 8. That's a plus 8. And as Dredd always keeps banging on about, you kind of got to look at the upside rather than this fear of, being bombarded with people saying, you can't do this, you can't do that. Again, I reiterate, I'm one to talk. I've got it here, this piece of paper, this poxy piece of paper, where it's predicting the points that I'm expecting. And yeah, I saw a comment from Podner yesterday and it said, look, if you're predicting, I think it was Maddison to score more points than Fernandez. I think it was Maddison. Why not bring him in? But the thing is that this is just based on my own probability, but you've got to get your realistic head on and go, but Fernandez has got 2 fantastic fixtures or if I'd argue Spurs, 3 fantastic fixtures where I think, like I said, that game between Man United and Tottenham could be ending up 3-1 either way, 3-2. Well, no, fuck that. If there's going to be one team in that game that's going to be scoring a minimum of 3, it's Man United, because they're better defensively than Tottenham. They're better defensively than Tottenham. And if I look at the history between these two, 2-2, 2-0, 3-2, 3-0, 3-1, 6-1. Away from home, Man United, 3-1, 3-0, 2-2. Man United's history against Tottenham, basically they've lost once. And that was, do you know when that was? That was back in the 4th of October, the day after my birthday. So on that day, 4th of October 2020, Tottenham won 6-1. But Martial was sent off in the 28th minute. Fernandez scored a penalty after the 2nd minute. Ndombele scored in the 4th. Son scored in the 7th. I mean, this game is just ridiculous. Harry Kane the 30th. Son the 37th. Here we are, our animations. Serge Aurier 51. Harry Kane 79th. Now, was that down to the fact that Man United were down to 10 players? I don't know. But I think personally, as a probability of an individual in Maddison, despite his Premier League pedigree, Tottenham's fixtures, and I've got to look at it from a realistic point of view, Tottenham's fixtures are, in the opening 2-3, are worse than Man United's. Man United, 2 home fixtures against Wolves and Nottingham Forest. You cannot look at that and go, well, Man United are going to struggle. Whereas when you look at, for instance, Tottenham against Bournemouth in game week 3, where Man United have got Nottingham Forest at home, yeah, there's a lot of goals. History is suggesting 3-2 to Tottenham on 3 occasions. Tottenham have been involved in a 3-2, twice winning 3-2. And Tottenham do like playing Bournemouth. And yes, is there a high chance that Maddison is going to be involved in assists/goals? Yes, but you've got to balance it out. You've got to balance out these probabilities of, okay, well, if Maddison's doing this, what is the Man United/Fernandez probability going to be doing against someone like Nottingham Forest? Well, average score here for Man United is, well, here we go, 3-0, 3-0, 2-0, 2-0. Last time these played at Old Trafford was on the League Cup on the 1st of February 2023. And Fernandes played on the right-hand side behind Anthony, Garnacho and Weghorst. He got nothing. The only downside to Fernandes is he's so hit and miss. He looks phenomenal. And could it be just a case of me of, you know what, maybe Fernandes is the one to potentially make way for Maddison if you're looking again at probabilities. But I just can't turn my nose up at 2 plum fixtures at home for Man United. And the previous match that they played with Man United won 2-0, Fernandes did nothing. So from a historical point of view, Fernandes versus Nottingham Forest in the last 2 fixtures, pants. They're quite literally just absolutely pants. And it doesn't help the cause. So that is a small, tiny little decision to make, whether it is Maddison over Fernandes, but without wanting to continuously repeat myself, going with that Man United coverage is there, but I'm just looking at the history now and it really is putting me off Fernandes. He's played in all these matches with so many goals and he's done nothing. So maybe that is the one. Maybe it is, let's go Maddison instead of Fernandes. And away we go from there. Gives me that 1 million in the bank that I can play with if and when necessary. Could that be the one? But overall though, like I say, these are just simple thought processes going through my head. But certainly this -4, I think I can take advantage of, because Aston Villa away at Newcastle. If I'm predicting it, 1-1 or 2-1 either way. More in favour of Newcastle because they are very, very, very good at home. And I know that looking at the history between these two, the home team likes to keep a clean sheet, so the history would be suggesting a 2-0 win. In fact, potentially a 3-0 win at home. If there's a winner in this game, they will win to 0. So we've got Aston Villa at home 2-0 and 3-0. Newcastle at home 1-0 and 4-0. But the 2 bookends is a friendly between these two that ended 3-3. And Newcastle won, Aston Villa won back in the 12th of March 2021. So again, based on simple history, it's looking like a 2-0 victory to Newcastle. But certainly I think that doing all, do you know what, the one thing I hate about doing all this, it just makes you think, oh, hold on a minute here, the data says one thing, and maybe going with my gut is that thing of just having Watkins there in that 3-5-2, and then just do the simple transfer in game week 2 of Martinelli to Diaz/Shota. I don't know, but certainly looking at it all here, I'm like I said, I'm virtually set. All my players have been the same for the past 2 or 3 weeks. Like, as I keep going on about, it's just the odd player here or there that's swapping in and out. I think that over the next couple of days when I listen into certain podcasts, I think listening about Fernandes/Maddison will be the one that I'm going to be hearing out for and going, right, actually I've been persuaded to go Maddison instead of Fernandes. That's pretty much it. And the same with the Pedro versus Watkins argument. But looking at it from a realistic point of view, I still think that Brighton have the easier fixture at home to Luton than Aston Villa away at Newcastle. On that note, I'm going to clear off. Thanks for watching. And me and Jason will see you tomorrow evening for another call-in. We'll probably go for our score predictions, actually, because obviously we've got the deadline on Friday. Again, I reiterate, I'm not here on Friday. So I may be able to be on Discord during the show, but I won't be able to speak that much. I don't know what my job's going to be entailing on Friday, because my training is going to be completed today. And when I say training, I mean all the e-learning stuff and all this. Whereas I'm still being trained, but I'm going to be buddying up with somebody. Now, if I'm told on Friday, for instance, between 4 and 7, all I need you to do is go around doing the waste, brilliant. I can easily then log into Jason, listen in via the Discord, communicate if and when necessary, done. Because I can tune in from whenever Jason's live, which would be, I'm assuming, 5 o'clock, 5:30. I'd like to think 5 o'clock, because there'll be a lot of you guys wanting to speak to Jason about your dilemmas. You know, like animations, do I go Sun or Madison? So, yeah, on Friday it's going to be a bit chaotic, as we all know. I'm going to be patronising you here. Just get your teams locked in pretty much now. Well, you know what I mean. Friday morning, I guess. Get it done. I still find it funny how people seem to not be back in Man City, including myself. But fortunately, as we all know, it's just the rotation risks. Even though we know what the within reason the points returns can be from the starters, we don't know who's going to be starting. That's the issue. And I don't think, even if the leaks came out that, for argument's sake, Foden's starting, are you really going to be going, oh my fucking God, Foden's starting, I've got to get rid of, for argument's sake, Martinelli or Fernandes, just to bring in Foden against, as I keep banging on about, Burnley, who, I reiterate, yeah, we're going to lose 3-0, 2-0, 3-0. I'd like to think we'll score, and my prediction is going to be 3-1. But certainly, from a realist point of view, it's going to end 2 or 3-0. And then you've got to work out the probabilities of Foden doing something, but then in game week 2, is he going to start against Newcastle? And it just goes on and on and on and on. You're better off just sticking with a safety net or whoever. Talking of predictions, actually, that's just reminded me, during the moderator meeting, unfortunately, the score predictor game on the website it's finished. It's done. I don't need to go into too many details, but essentially the coding that was used to create the game, Jason doesn't know how to essentially hack into. So the easiest decision we've made, and it's thanks to Lino for basically telling us this, but it looks like we're going to be doing a Super Brew Elite FPL League. Now, I'm sure if anybody's part of the Discord and wants to learn more about that, just go into the score prediction channel on Discord and find out more information. But I'm sure Lino will be setting up a Elite FPL mini league, and then we can just, if you want to play it, you can play it and you can join. If not, you know, whatever. There's no obligation to join. So, yeah, that's that bit of news. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to tomorrow night's stream, where of course me and Jason are going to be going through our predictions and then listening to your calls and dilemmas and bringing you all on and stuff. And the guys that were unable to join us last night, they can potentially join us tomorrow night and then bring on the deadline. So as ever, really do appreciate anybody taking the time out to watch this absolute nonsense. And yeah, if you do enjoy the content, if you want to hit the like button, hit the like button. If you want to subscribe, hit the subscribe button. See you later.